My next guests are Ann Eggebroten and John Arthur, who, although they have different last names, they are married. And they're an interesting couple because Ann recently gave birth to her first child, which was last month. And while you took a week off to have the baby, you went right back to work. And John, you decided to take 4 months off to take care of the baby and take paternity leave.
Well, that's right. And really thinking about it, it's something that just sort of came naturally. I can't imagine doing it any other way. I was able to get a leave from where I work. I work in San Francisco. And in fact, we've been split up all year. While Ann was teaching in San Bernardino and I work in San Francisco. But I work at a newspaper and there's a leave policy. It's not a paternity leave as such. It's just an open-ended leave policy.
You can take a leave.
You can take a leave if it's agreeable to your department head.
And do you get paid for this?
No, it's an unpaid leave.
Unpaid leave. Well, Ann, you work here. You teach English at college in San Bernardino.
Cal State.
And why didn't you take a maternity leave? I'm sure the college would have granted you that, wouldn't they?
Well, I've been a graduate student for 9 years, earning a PhD, and the teaching profession is very tight these days. It's very hard to get a position. And if you get one and then take a year out for having a baby, or 5 years, you'll never get back into the profession. So it's a good time for me to stay in my profession. It's a good time for him to take a little time out. He's been working for 8 years at his profession.
Where is the baby? In San Francisco?
The baby's right here.
The baby's here?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, no, you took the leave and came down here to be with
I took the leave and came down.
Okay, I find it. And do you miss not being with the baby? You had it and you took spring vacation in 1 week and bam, you're back at work. Do you miss not seeing the baby during the daytime?
I'm with the baby for 3 hours before I go to work in the morning for about 7 hours when I come home, so I don't miss her, no. But, I have a lot of time with her, and I think it's enough for me, maybe not for someone else.
Well, as a father who did not take paternity leave, it was enough for me to have that amount of time. John, how about you? What's your typical day?
Well, I'm relieved. Ann nurses the baby, and so I try to feed
Hard to take that over.
I haven't been able to master that part yet. But I do feed it a bottle in the middle of the night sometimes. But she might relieve me about 6 o'clock in the morning when the baby wakes up. Whereupon I go into the bedroom and crash for a few uninterrupted hours. She leaves for work. She has a class at 10, and so I'm out there, and I have to. Oftentimes, I simply have to hold this baby. It's such a young child for a couple hours. I give it a bath. I feed it another bottle at midday, and I do all the domestic chores. I was thinking the other day that I'm just learning about things that millions of women have known about for years.
Did you watch the soap operas, John?
I watch your show. But I'm just simply doing a lot of domestic chores. I go to the laundromat every 2 or 3 days, keep the baby clean and fed, and clean the house and do the dishes and things like that. We do try to take turns on things like cooking and some chores like that.
Well, now, in the past, in talking to friends of mine who have had babies, there comes a time when the woman begins to resent the man because she's stuck with the child at home and he's off having a wonderful time at work. Of course, when you go to work, you don't have necessarily a wonderful time. Do you resent Ann at all yet?
Yesterday, I was sitting at home with a variety of things in front of me, and I thought it was a little boring. And I thought to myself that other people have gone through this, other women have. Of course, this is a 4-month deal for me. I'm going to go back to I have a nice job waiting for me when I go back. And it's a temporary thing. It's not something I'm going to be doing for the next 15 years, staying home and taking care of this child. I really enjoy it while I'm doing it. I think it's neat to have this tiny little baby. It's our first child, of course. It's just a learning experience. And it's wonderful to try and relate to the child and communicate with it. So it's fun that way, and it's not something I don't feel like I'm going to be sentenced to it or anything like that. And we are, as Ann says, she's spending a lot of time with this child every day also. Yeah.
What are you learning about yourself, John?
Well, I'm learning that I can appreciate this kind of experience more. I had no idea what was out there. I was nervous about it, really. I was concerned whether I'd know what to do the right things, drop my baby off the 2nd floor, or do something really strange. And I'm learning that I can do this kind of role. I'm learning that I do appreciate my job, which I knew already, but I know that I do appreciate an outside stimulus. That this probably wouldn't be enough to keep me occupied mentally all the time.
Yeah. And you know, the psychologists talk about the maternal feeling. Now, when you come home after a hard day's work and there's the baby, do you have feelings like maybe John isn't doing a good enough job, and you want to say, look, the diaper's wrong, or did you do this, or I mean, do you have concerns that way?
Well, I think I did for the first couple of days, but then also my mother was with us for a week at the beginning, and she had concerns about both of us as amateurs. And so at the beginning, we were both saying, oh no, we should do it this way, and he would say, no, you should do it that way. But now, I just come home and I feel really glad to see my baby, and she looks a lot better when you've been away for 7 hours.
Are things different between the two of you as a couple now than they were before the baby?
We never see each other. With a baby, you're always either working with the baby or going to the laundromat, or I'm going to work, and we just pass each other. Hi, how are you?
Yeah, we've worked different shifts before, and you don't see much of each other in that kind of an arrangement. I might add that there are times when I feel that she's not doing the right thing with the baby. I have a lot of experience with this baby. I give it a bath every day. I change its diapers all the time. I feed it. I know more about giving it bottles and baths than she does.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
right, just bring a little rubber ducky to it and leave it alone, right? It interests me that you're going for 4 months without a salary, and I don't know what you make, but I would figure that 4 months' salary would have bought a nurse or a nanny for this child for the 4 months. What was the need you had to be with the baby?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if you really would want to leave a newborn with a nurse. When the child is older, there are various daycare alternatives which I would not feel uncomfortable.
What are you going to do when the child is 4 months old? I mean, you go back to work, and then what are you going to do? You're going to quit?
Well, I have the summer off as a teacher. I think that's a profession that works out very well with having children. In September, she'll be 6 months old, and we'll go to daycare at that point.
I see. Okay, now the big question. Comes another child. You going to do this again?
Well, you know something, I think I will, if such a thing happens. I have no reservations about it. I like it. First place, if you work, I have a good job, and I enjoy my job, but any job has a routine.
Sure.
It's tiring, it's debilitating to a certain extent. I work long hours. This is a tremendous break for me. It's something completely different. It's work of a different sort. It tires you in a different way. You don't get any sleep at night. But I would do this again without hesitation.
Well, now, let me ask you, Ed, because your work is going to be routine and boring, just like his. Aren't you going to want to take that 4 months yourself?
Well, I can take the next 4 months after he takes 4 months. I think it's very important to me as a woman to not be tied down right after a child is born and to feel that I'm stuck.
Yeah,
I would feel very nervous. In fact, I have postponed this baby, this pregnancy, until I had a full-time job and was able to be sure that I would not be home 24 hours a day with child care.
Well, it sounds like you guys are just working things out for both of your benefits, and it's fascinating to talk to you. As a matter of fact, Assemblyman Art Agnos has a bill which would require companies to give up to 4 months paternity leave should a situation like this arise. Anyway, thank you very much for being with us, Anne Eggebroten. I can't talk all of a sudden. Anne Eggebroten and John Arthur, and good luck to you. And what's the baby's name?
Rosamond Arthur Eggebroten.
In that order.
In that order?
Yeah.
Took your last name.
Yeah.
We should have a whole other segment on that. We'll be right back.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.